All right, coming off of a 4-game losing streak, but on the road, what is your message to the team coming back home to get in the new call?
Yeah, just get back to work and really kind of get back into your routine and understand that little things matter within a day and within a game. And game's hard. I mean, they guys understand that. And I think they have understood that. And message is still pretty much the same as the same guys that we went to Austin with. We still got a lot of belief in them, a lot of trust in them. At the same time, to win a Big 12 baseball game or a series, you got to do all, a bunch of little things right.
Baseball is very much a mental game when it comes to the player's perspective. How much of having 3 straight walk-offs do you have to counteract for these guys going forward? Or is that just out of the realm of possibility?
I tell you, so NCAA probably did us a favor. They gave them a day off yesterday. And so just a little bit of a mental reset, having a day to kind of themselves, probably does them more good than anything I could say. I wish there was something that, any coach could go in and say in this type of scenario, but really it's about your preparation. The better you prepare, usually the more you embrace the opportunity to go compete. And the one thing this group's done from day one is they've really enjoyed that process. And so not really that concerned with where we are there. It is a thought, though. And really, again, like I said, you can thank the NCAA because without them, you are getting them together yesterday and probably, having a powwow and talking about a bunch of stuff that really doesn't matter. It's a lot of that is done now, and so that's kind of where we are. I'll say this just to wrap that up. I mean, if you take any college baseball team in the country and you say, hey, this is where you are right now, and this is what you can evolve into moving forward, you'd probably take right where we are. And with the opportunity to evolve into something that could be really special.
With as perception-wise as front-loaded as your Big 12 schedule is, how important is this weekend?
I didn't know that was a perception. So first of all, I guess that's news to me. Every day is important. And in this business, again, you want to win every day. You want to get up each day and prepare the right way and try to go compete that day. And you really don't control what happens in a 3-game set or a week or a season. What you can control is the controllables. And, getting yourself ready and getting your team ready. And I don't have any doubt our guys will do that.
Kind of following up on what Jeff just asked, your first 4 conference series are against other teams who are peaking in the top half of the conference.
Yeah.
After you get through those 12 games, do you have in your head a number of wins that you feel like you need to, where you kind of need to?
If you said 12, I'd say 12 if you ask at the start.
Yeah.
If you ask in the middle, I would say however many's left, but really anybody that's ever competed in anything, you're really getting way ahead of yourself just to even think about the result. And really what you can do is control what happens. Try to be present while the game's going on and try to do what you need to do to execute during the game. But if you ask us before or after, obviously it'd be, you want to win every day. And you expect to win every day. And so, but as far as perception of our league and what you're talking about, first 3 or 4 weekends, our league's been good top to bottom for a long time. And there's been a lot of years you could make an argument, hey, 9 teams could get in the NCAA tournament, or 8 teams or 7 teams. If you take the RPI out of it and you just look at pure baseball, hey, here's a weekend rotation, here's a baseball team, you got to go beat them 2 out of 3 on a weekend. You've always had to earn the right to do that in this league.
Coach Derek Bridges pitched against New Mexico.
Yeah.
What was his pitch count, I guess, there, and then will it be kind of moving forward?
He's probably a 1-inning guy right now. You're probably talking about a max of 30. Anytime you get over 25 pitches in an inning, it's not real good. So you probably don't want him to get above 30 and probably build him up to where he's a 2-inning guy by the end of the year. The other day is just, again, in that scenario, we had Wright coming up, and it's his first outing, as you mentioned, and we thought it was the right thing to do to go to, a right-hander. And And so, but no, it's exciting getting back on the mound. It's really cool.
How much can he help bolster the bullpen?
We'll see. I mean, obviously, coming off surgery, facing hitters 2 or 3 times now, and then getting in one game. The one thing he's not shy about is, hey, give me the ball. He wants to pitch. And so generally guys that want to do that get better as they go. And I would think he would.
Not on an individual basis, but an overall, would you say your bullpen has struggled?
Struggled last weekend, for sure. And struggled Tuesday. We've had a bunch of bullpen struggle in Albuquerque. And so, I mean, it's a tough place to pitch, and the altitude, and give credit where credit's due. I mean, as far as last weekend, you're talking about, those guys had a bunch of really good at-bats through the weekend, really played the game at about as high level as we've seen in a while. And, you can just look around the diamond, they played really good baseball and had really good at-bats and executed along the way.
Tim, stay on pitching for a moment. You said the fact that Brennan Gerton has not been great so far, do you think there's a correlation there to how his year ended last season? Is there a lingering effect since he didn't?
No, I don't think so. I think really what you're talking about is a guy that's been on the mound 5 or 6 times now, and to me, I think he's shown improvement. He's getting a little bit better. Is he, how many are there? How many Birdsels are there? How many Andrew Morses really are there? Davis, Martin, Gingrey, and he's just not always going to have the luxury of a bona fide, number one. And so those guys, as they're trying to evolve into that, what you're trying to get them to do is go out and give you, somewhat of a quality start. And, last week he was considerably better, and but as far as correlation between last year and this year, I think last year's, I think he's moved on from that. And, I think he feels good about where he is.
Can you talk about the development of Jace Lopez between the fall and the spring?
So you're talking about winter. Over Christmas time, we'd have to ask him what he did over the winter. But no, Jace is a guy that's he's got a good arm. He's commanding his secondary stuff, and I do think he's getting some confidence.
Coach, we saw Dylan Carter's out of the cast. What's his timeline like, or what's the injury status?
To be specific, I'd have to ask. I know when it happened, Dylan said 4 weeks, and the doc said 8. So see when the cast comes off, see what happens.
Coach, with so many close games, how much do you, from a coaching standpoint, look back and try to learn lessons from, when to sub, when to make those pitching changes, that kind of stuff? Do you draw lessons from that? Is it learning about guys or strategy?
Yeah, and again, that's kind of part of, like where your record is where your record is right now. But you have to allow guys to go out and give them opportunity to perform. And again, like you're gathering information, really, probably the first half of the year. You'd really like for it to just be the first third of the year, and trying to see where the best roles for guys are. And obviously, as far as every move we make and everything you can think of that goes on within a game, absolutely. Like you go back over everything you can and try to learn from it, try to make better decisions as you go forward. And at the same time, just trying to keep guys healthy. You're trying to be better at the end than you are at the start. And part of that's giving guys rest too. I think we've got plenty of players. Really, if we can get them we can get guys to a point on both sides of it where they're playing at close to a high level, for them. You can give guys a day if you need to give them a day, whether it's on the mound or, hitting in the middle of the order. And that's a bigger challenge than you think. And so it's also a challenge just looking at it and go, hey, do you really want to give that guy a day off? It's hitting 4th or 5th. But sometimes it might be the best thing for him.
On a more positive note, it seems like your defense is playing better. Have you seen more confidence with the lack of errors that they've committed over the last couple of weeks?
It's again, like I think if you look back, I think if you look at numbers, we're getting to more balls than we've probably ever got to. And so you got a little bit of athleticism there. I'll go back, say what I said probably the last time we got together. I think we've made plays when we need to make plays. And been really proud of the guys for doing that. And when you're athletic, you're going to get to more balls. I mean, you can look at our assist ratio; it's pretty high. And there are spots where you go, "Hey, could you get better there?" We're intrigued about what we can evolve into. I mean, it's as far as we got a lot of guys that are really good baseball players. There's pieces you can move if you need to, and so again, it's we've been encouraged by that, and guys have been working, and for the most part, they've been working. And when I say that, we've had a couple guys probably dinged up now for 3 weeks, and it's been all they could do to get in a training room and get to game day, if that makes sense. And I think we're getting to a point right now today where okay, hey, let's get some work in, talking about what you're talking about defensively and those things.
On that defensive note, Tracer Lopez has obviously the last couple weekends has really seemed to settle in. I mean, is the game slowing down for him a little bit? Because he's just really been making some impressive plays.
He has made some good plays. He's made some adjustments on where he's standing and making things a little easier for from that standpoint. He made a play on Kennedy on the other side of second base. I mean, I think the first hitter of the series. And that's as good a runner as there is probably in our league. And you're right, he's made some good plays. He's always been able to defend. At the same time, I think he's got to keep evolving and get where he can play both those spots in the middle. But you're right. I mean, he's playing shortstop at a decent level.
What have you liked about Maxie behind the plate? I know he started a couple this past weekend.
Yeah.
What is he doing well?
He's receiving the ball good. He's throwing the ball good. His at-bats are competitive. And so put those three things together and you got a guy that can at least raise the bar a little bit for Hudson and Bazell. I mean, and I know y'all hadn't seen Bazell back there. But those are things that, again, like you want guys, at that position. You can even say the same thing at shortstop. For a while there, we're every day. I mean, it was one or the other. You want guys that can push the other guy, and and so that there is a challenge there. There's a challenge within a season to get guys to keep understanding. Hey, there's competition right next to you. You just might not see them.
What have you thought of Owen Washburn's process and making some good contact over the weekend?
Yeah, Owen's getting in a good spot. He really is. He's moving on the right pitch, and he's a kid that's always won. I know it's whether he's in the lineup or not, it tears at him, and he wants to win baseball games and wants to do everything he can to prepare the right way. And proud of him, the way he got in there last weekend and swung the bat for sure.
Okay.
I was going to say, kind of switching gears to TCU, what have you seen from them so far this season that might pose a challenge for you guys?
They're very athletic. They're very good on the mound, always have been. They've got 2 transfers in their lineup, one from West Virginia, one from TCU, or from Baylor, I mean. They obviously, Taylor's one of the better hitters returning in the league. The guy they're throwing tomorrow night's a guy everybody tried to get. He was at Kansas last year. And so, older group, kind of been there. They've all been here, I'm sure. When you really look at it, maybe other than, they're freshmen is what you're talking about. And so, the experience factor, if that weighs in there, if you guys can tell me if that does have I don't really know. To me, a baseball game's a baseball game, whether you've been there or not. And I think obviously we saw them in Houston, and so they can do some things offensively and defensively.
You mentioned a moment ago about not having that, your typical number one on a Friday. Have you guys thought about tinkering with the rotation any, or will it stay the same?
Just, I mean, it's going to stay the same this weekend. We're going to go Parish on Sunday. It's going to stay the same the first 2 days. We've just never been, we've tried not to move guys up a day. And so your week to move things around would be next week if you wanted to do that with, even though next week everything's moved up a day already because of Easter. And so maybe it's the next weekend. Maybe you shuffle some things where you could do that. We talk about it every week. We talk about it after the games, and we try to figure out what the best way to go win that day is. And have felt really good about who we have ran out there. I mean, one of the biggest surprises to me right now, just in this season, has been Tabor Fast. Like he was within the top 3 pitchers for me in the fall. Like every time he went out there, he's efficient. He threw strikes. He changed speeds. It's just been probably hadn't located his fastball as good as he wants to. That kind of sets everything up, but maybe we put him in a role where it gets him a chance to kind of get going. He can make a difference. Whether it's in the midweek or at the back end of the game, or but you got to give him an opportunity to kind of get going.
Tim, on TCU's rotation, the last 4 weekends they started Vanderhey, Klecker, and Brown in that order.
Yeah.
You mentioned Vanderhey's got
Yeah.
that everybody tried to get. What kind of, how did you?
So the
how
irony
did
is,
you break down these
so you
three
guys
guys?
remember the night Kansas won the national championship last year in basketball? So the whole town was partying, right? We happened to be right in the middle of it, staying in Lawrence, Kansas. And what's that street called?
Mass Street.
Yeah, and so I think we had guys on that street. I think they had guys on that street. And we wake up the next day and we kind of got a shot to get Vanderhey in the first. He starts on Sunday. Like, man, we might get this guy. And then he pretty much settled in and threw great. He's a guy that's probably up to 95.6, good slider, can really hit golf ball. I played 18 holes out here with him when he came on a visit. He didn't beat me in that, so if that's worth anything. He's one of the few guys I've ever played golf with on a visit, other than a kid by the name of Brandon Fahey, and he's one of my all-time favorites to this day. And so, his visit couldn't have gone any better here. We had a great couple days. But his, again, like on the mound, it's a good fastball, good slider. Show you a change-up, athletic, big guy. And then as far as Klecker, we saw him throw against Louisville in Houston, threw the ball really good. And we don't talk names a whole lot. You try to simplify hitting as much as you can. And Brown's been a guy that ever since he's been there, I know he threw good last weekend. Whoever he threw against last weekend. So.
Well, let's start to wind this down. We have time for 1 or 2 more questions if you have it.
Whose idea was it to look up? His?
No, I mean usually on those visits in the summer, you're hunting stuff to do. He was probably here 48 hours. You had an afternoon, and we had staff together. And it's like, hey, him and his dad actually are big golfers. I think they live on a golf course. And so it came pretty naturally. I mean, if you're home and you got an afternoon, you eat lunch and you're not going to see them till dinner. What are you going to do all afternoon? So it came pretty easy. So maybe we can go back and maybe he'll play golf tomorrow morning with me.
Try to get 36 in?
Yeah, as many as he wants. Maybe like that deal like when you're a kid, you hit it and then run to the ball when your mom's about to come pick you up. Try to get 9 holes in right quick. We got 40 minutes. So, yeah, that's it was just one of those deals you're trying to fill time. That makes sense. A little recreation.
You talked to any of the pros that are getting their day started today?
I haven't talked to them today, no. Trying to think when the last time I talked to. No, I haven't. And I know Josh and them, I think they play at 3 o'clock. I haven't even had a chance to see if Davis made the roster with the White
No,
Sox.
AAA.
Hadn't had a chance to look at some of that stuff. What about Killian? He make a roster?
He's AAA. The Parker is
Yeah.
he's with the Astros though. And
Yeah.
Coulomb is up with
The Orioles.
Orioles.
Yeah, cool.
Those are the three that are up.
Yeah, I guess I'll be following box scores, so we'll let them do their thing and be following them for sure. Kind of fun time of year.
All right, well.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Check the box back here.